All righty, how you guys doing today? This is the Senior Home Business Live Show with Drew, and you know my name. You hear me every day, I think, or at least 3 or 4 times a week. Drew, they probably get tired of hearing from me. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this guy that lives in California with a Southern accent, I'll never get away from this dude." Or his name is Matt Stafford. So sometimes I get Drew on the call. It's like, "Is this the Rams quarterback?" I was like, "No, I didn't sign the $27 million contract, but I do live in California, so but I'm not him, right?" So we got
Can't
to
help
get
you. You guys
going.
look alike.
We
What are
look
you gonna do,
alike.
man?
Well, I played quarterback. Interesting enough, back in the day, only at the high school level. I did not go on the Georgia like the real Matt Stafford. I did not go on the Detroit Lions and the Rams like the real Matt Stafford. But I could throw it about 50 yards. That probably doesn't qualify for the NFL. There's a lot of people that throw it 50 yards. They're like, shoot, man, that's easy.
I didn't know that, Matt, but I could totally picture you in a high school huddle saying, "Here's what we're gonna do. Let's
I was
go."
like, man, let's roll. But back in the 80s, man, this kind of obviously dating me. I graduated high school in 87, and we were running audibles back in the mid 80s. So I literally would go up to the offensive line and be able to look at the defense and call based on colors, cadence, get an offense to move and shift and do a different play, even in the mid to late 80s. Not because of me, I could read a defense. That was only my talent for the most part. I was kind of like a B-rated quarterback. But Coach Lou Johnston, if you ever hear me out there, he's my football coach back in the day. Phenomenal. He coached for like 25 years or something like that. He instituted all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of cutting edge back in the 80s. Now that's not cutting edge today. Today that's like, dude, you're expected to do that kind of stuff. But back then you weren't. So we kind of caught some people off guard. Anyway, you guys didn't come to hear me talk about football. Let's get going. We're going to talk today about entrepreneurship, talk about TSL, talk about this business. You see Tour Senior Living in the corner. If you're new to the channel, man, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love to hear from you. Hit the notification bell. We do a live on this show Thursday once a week. We do a live on Wednesday. And now I'm kind of doing a live every so often on Tuesday. So at least 3 times a week, you'll hear from us. But let's get into it, Drew. We're going to talk today about the 5 mindset moves that changed our business forever. And the reason I put "our" because you have helped a lot of people in entrepreneurship. I've helped a lot of people in terms of coaching and entrepreneurship too, and mainly in senior placement business. But dive a little bit into, before we get into these 5 mindset moves, how you've impacted others and what's a good little intro you could talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So, prior to starting TSL here with you, Matt, I had a software development shop called App Factory, and this is where I basically helped people who had app or software ideas. They come in as an entrepreneur with a vision, an expertise in an industry, and then had an idea for a software that could help change their industry. So I helped 100 or so entrepreneurs over that time. And what I realized, like through that experience, is that my job was basically to build the software according to the specifications that they set.
Yeah.
That's the easy job. It wasn't easy, but it's easy compared to what they were doing, which is starting something new, trying to change an industry or trying to set themselves apart, trying to get attention and just get the time of day from customers. Like building something is pretty easy, but building something people want, that's a real challenge. And that's why entrepreneurship, requires a special type of person, a special type of mindset. I've definitely noticed that over the years of trying hundreds of these things.
Absolutely. I just heard, I'll give him a shout out right now. I listen to him frequently. This guy named Myron Golden, and I follow him quite a bit. And he's a Christian. He's been an entrepreneur now for quite some time, but he was flat broke back in the day. Anyway, regardless of all that, his video I heard today had to do with the 4 M's, which you need to protect and make sure you do well in. And it was the mouth, in which we speak, not only to others, but how we speak to ourselves. The second M was mind, which we're going to get into today, the 5 mindset moves that changed our business forever, and it could change someone else's business. Then he got into the third M was mood, right? Just in terms of how you're, feeling today. I mean, you wake up, you're just tired. You're always ticked off. You're always negative, those kind of things. And then the fourth M, we won't get too much into it today, but is money. that people need to understand how to handle money. I didn't understand that for the longest time. And so it just took me some time to be disciplined, to learn from people, to recognize that was a weakness and saying, okay, what books can I read? Did I really trust somebody, or some videos I can watch, or somebody I could talk to that could coach me on the side to help me? There's plenty of resources, right? So when we're talking about the 5 mindsets, I mean, we've got to become resourceful. But here's the 5 things that I want you to look at, you guys, today. Number 1, and this may be a shocker for some people, but it's so true. And I think a lot of the solopreneurs struggle with this, is operate like a CEO, not a doer. And that's one thing I did not do when I first started my placement agency. I did not operate like a CEO. I operated like a doer. I operated, okay, I gotta go get a lead. I gotta go get a move in, do this, do that. And I had these to-do lists, which I don't have anymore. My own personal opinion, I don't think to-do lists actually serve you as well as you may think. Now, there's some things you might want to jot down and not forget: your spouse's birthday, your kid event, or certain things. But that's not really a to-do list. That's a calendar event, right? You put that in your calendar so you don't forget those things. But I was forever, Drew, jotting things down, having a list of 10, and then I may do 3 of them, and those are the 3 things I really wanted to do. And then the other 7 I didn't want to do. So I'd carry them over. And then I had like 5 more on top of that. So now my list goes from 10 to 12. And you can get the point. The list just keeps growing and growing. And what happened was, there were still some things that days prior I still hadn't accomplished, because there was things I don't want to do. So what I do real quickly, and thinking like a CEO, you just want to prioritize your day, right? I wake up, I got my morning ritual, do certain things. And then there's like 3 things I'm going to do today. Whatever those 3 things are. Now, you might have more than 3, you might have 2, whatever. I just have 3. It's pretty easy for me to remember. I have those 3 things, and I knock those things out. And if that's all I do today, if that's all I accomplish, I go to bed feeling good. I had a great day. I don't know, but this is what I want to get to, Drew. I think most people that are senior placement agents in particular are working in their business. They're not building their business. And because how you build your business, guys, from experience that Drew has had. I mean, Drew, you did like 75 move-ins or something like that last year, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And we do a lot of business. And go ahead, Drew. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I love the CEO versus a doer. Like, another way I think about it is like a hunter versus a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Farmer, you got your schedule. You're basically executing a series of tasks, and you just need to get the execution down. Hunter, you need to kind of have your eyes and ears open and be constantly looking for, in this case, opportunities to create value for other people. And so you're waking up, and you've got your 3 things, but you've also have your eyes and ears open kind of to opportunities that come your way. And it's your ability to like seize on those opportunities, much like a hunter, that is going to determine your level of success.
Yeah, definitely. And I got most people, are in their business, not building the business, right? As a CEO, what I mean by that is, at the very beginning, I was all in the business, which there might be a season to do that, quite honestly, when you're just getting things started. But if you stay in that place, that's a difficult thing for you, and it's going to be hard to expand. You need to be working on your business. As a doer, you're in the business. As a CEO, you're on the business. And that's why I like the 3 things that I do each and every day. They're very different. They're not the same 3 things, but it provides me an aerial shot of 30,000 feet or whatever it is to the business. Get away and just think about 3 things that are radically going to change your business. Think like a CEO, not just in the weeds, not in the woods of just going through and saying, okay, well, I've got to do this. I got to make that phone call. I got to send that email out. You have to do those things, but don't allow those things to interfere with your big things, right, that you got going on. And it's all about building systems, right? Teams, scalable processes. So Drew, speaking about Tour Senior Living, because this is what this is about. If you're going to think like a CEO as a senior placement agent and build systems, TSL is a perfect thing.
100%. Yeah, that's really what TSL is designed to do, is create a system that really focuses on helping you on the lead generation. So creating a system for lead generation. And this is important because, you need to be focused on your business, not in your business. And if folks want to kind of do a deeper dive on this idea, there's a great book called The E-Myth Revisited. And it's one of those like best-selling
Yeah.
business books, like required reading kind of deals. But it kind of follows this gal who owns a pie shop, and she creates her grandmother's recipes of the pie. She bakes every single pie because she has to do it all herself. But the business can't grow
Right.
if everything is bottlenecked through you. And so it's really this process of her kind of coming to understand herself as a business owner, as opposed to just a doer, producer working in the business instead of on the business.
Absolutely. You've got number two, you got to build tools. That's what we're talking about, right? Not just tasks. If you're task oriented, you're not thinking like a CEO. If you're building tools and you're building systems in place, entrepreneurs need to create repeatable systems. Even as a senior placement agent, I did not get this at the beginning. Some things I kind of just fell into by luck, I think, or just chance, right? Whatever you want to say. But like social media, Drew, when I started doing that, I don't think I was doing a great job at it, but some of those things were they were repeatable. It helped me out because it stayed on my platform. And then whenever somebody did pop around and check my platform out, which wasn't too often at the beginning, at least, they would see my video. And so I just thought in my own head, like the more I did those videos, especially at the beginning, and I still do, but the more I did at the beginning, I would get attention. And I did not get immediate attention. It wasn't like I'd have any video go viral. I didn't have any video that would, oh my gosh, you post this out, you'll get 1.5 million views tomorrow. I didn't have any of that. I was hoping to get 1.5 views, right? I was hoping to get just one or two people on there to see my stuff. But it stays on your platform, and that could be an easy thing. And the reason I bring that up is because I talk about this in my coaching. I'm getting ready to talk about it in a coaching call in 45 minutes from this video. And we're going to talk a little bit about social media today. And I know with a small group that I talk to, it is a source of pain for them. And they'll ask me very specifically, Matt, how do I have a successful senior placement business? How do I do what you do? Well, if you're going to do what I do, social media is part of it. They want the results without going through what you need to do. And so that may not be everybody's forte, but that's what I'm saying. You've got to figure out what you're able to do and do consistently over time and have these things be automated for you. Like social media to me is automated. It doesn't mean it kicks out everybody on my email list, or it doesn't magically appear on people's pages, but it's there. I can reference back to it. I can go back and boost that post if it's good, if it got more than 20, 30 views or 100 views or whatever you deem like fantastic, then you go back and you can boost that and you get it to more people. It's more effective. I don't know. What's your thoughts on all this stuff, man?
I think that's right. And basically what people need to ask themselves is, what is the API into my expertise? Like, I was a senior placement agent. I have this expertise on the senior living options in my area. And my business is sharing that expertise with families who need that expertise, right? And in software, we have this idea of API, like how the user gets to that expertise. That's and for most placement agents, their API is get on a phone call with me or get on a Zoom. That's the only way you can get my expertise. And what that does is it creates a bottleneck. It really limits the number and the types of people there's only certain types of people who want to get on a phone call with a stranger.
That's right. That's true.
So you're just massively limiting your ability to help others. And what tools and systems like TSL or the social media do is expands the API, the interfaces that families can use to interact with you and for you to help them.
Absolutely. Let's get number 3, clarity over complexity. I want to put this up right now because I think it's so cool. Entrepreneurs lose momentum when they chase too many things. And I get it. You wake up one day, you got a vision for what you're going to do. And more than likely let me get this is the catcher. This might be a pro tip for somebody out there. As soon as you're getting ready to pivot into something new, or you're just going to become going from a W-2 employee to an entrepreneur like I did, when you have that initial vision, Stay locked into that. Because what's going to happen is when you start sharing this vision with other people, they start putting their twist on it. They start putting their flavor, like, well, man, that'd be cool, good, great if you did that business and you went out and got your real estate license too. Why don't you become a senior placement agent and a real estate agent at the same time? They work well hand in hand, and they do. But now here's a solopreneur adding two things together. And then you're doing this. You say, man, it would be really cool if you start doing a podcast as while you're doing these two things. That'd be great. Do all three of those things. And then, podcast, what you need to start doing is go knock on doors and, speak over here, do this. You start adding all this stuff. And I've talked to plenty of people, Drew, over the years. One particular person recently, they're just adding one thing after the other and I'm not saying don't add multiple things. I've done that, but make sure you're doing that one thing well. Then you can expand because you're using that one thing that you're doing well as a base, right? It's foundation, and you can build on that foundation. But if you're just half-assing the thing over here, barely doing it, barely getting by, don't have any success, but you're going to keep that one thing, and then you're going to go over here and try to do this thing. And I mean, you're all over the place. And it just comes back, I think, Drew, this whole getting back to senior placement, and I'll throw it back to you, is that we need to simplify our offer, the process, and our target audience. So you need to get single-minded and focused on what you're doing. Build that one thing first, and then as you're in that thing, real estate, senior placement, whatever you're doing, make sure you simplify the offer that you have. Make it easy for people. Like Drew just mentioned, it's difficult for some people to jump on a phone call. I'm getting convicted myself just hearing that, because I do it all the time on videos like this. You guys can click down, schedule a call with me. Well, some people might not want to schedule a call. So we got to give them an easier offer. And so we do have an easier offer down below. We just had somebody this morning. I'm out drinking a cup of coffee. My little thing goes off, getting paid. And I'm like, oh, all right. And this might shock people, but this really excites me more than getting thousands and thousands of bucks. It just does, because it blows me away. But somebody bought the 3-day recorded workshop for $29.99, basically $30. And I don't know why that excites me more than the amount of money, Drew, we sell the courses and TSL. I think the reason it does, because it reminds me back when I was flat broke, and that would be my move. My move would be, I can only afford that. And so I'm going to take a chance. And some people say $30 is not a chance, no risk. I tell you what, when you're flat broke, it could be $3 or $30. It's still hard. And so somebody to do that. So whoever did that day, I know your name, I'm not going to say it on the video. I smile and I go, hey, I'm so excited for that person, because they're actually taking a step. It's probably gas money, for them. It's more than just a cup of coffee. And I say it kind of like that, like, hey, $30, it's 6 trips to Starbucks, maybe it's 5 now, I don't know. But it may not be Starbucks. It may be a half a tank of gas for them. It might be 2 lunches, 3 lunches throughout the week at work, or whatever it may be. And they're sacrificing that. So really appreciate that. But
I think what you're picking up on, Matt, there is that when you have that motivation, when you kind of see that vision and you have the energy, like I'm gonna pursue this, that is a precious commodity. That energy that you feel, that motivation, that if you do nothing, it will go away over time. It's perishable, right? So you have to act on that when you have that energy. And I think what your point is if you spread that energy into 10 different lines of effort, it gets all diffused out and you get nothing. But if you can focus it into one direction, and you can really harness that energy, because it's perishable. It'll go away. You got to use it while you have it.
Yeah. And that's where systems comes in place, right? We talked about point number 1, thinking like a CEO. So you got systems in place. And when you have systems and processes in place for every successful business, then what happens is you can hire people to do certain things because you know what it takes to do it. What I think people do initially, and especially when they got the resources, they hire prematurely without knowing the full process themselves, right? And you're really good at this, Drew. You've mentioned this to me several times in working with TSL, especially at the beginning. We talked about certain people we're going to need to hire to do certain tasks. And you've mentioned, you know what? let me stay in that lane for a little bit longer because I'm seeing what it actually takes to be successful and to pull that off the way we want to. Then we'll know how to hire correctly, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing that you've done, man.
Oh yeah, it's this kind of sequencing of how to create a system for your business. You don't just start by creating the system. You understand the process, you improve the process, you optimize the process, and then at the end, you automate it. Once you've got it dialed and improved. Just but I used to flip it the other way all the time by
Yeah.
mistake and
Yeah.
start automating it before I had a process, and that's the bad. It's not the
That's
right way
it.
to do it.
All right, number 4, real quick. We got 5 of these points to stay with us, but grow with people, not pressure. And I see that a lot of senior placement agents, man, they're in this pressure cooker, man. They're in it all by themselves. They're feeling alone. They're out beating the streets. They're doing it the traditional way. They have no idea you can do this business online, which is crazy. I've been doing it online. I've told you guys multiple times, since the mid to late 2019, just before COVID hit. And now we got TSL. That takes the pressure off. And then also what I'm talking about is not only just taking the pressure off and having a system that we've talked about, but you can actually don't have to grind alone. You can collaborate, right? And the collaboration, we've got this group, Tour Senior Living. We meet every Tuesday, right? It's so cool. Me, you, and Crystal, and Josh, and all these partners, we come together and we're talking about Tour Senior Living, talking about the software, the system in and of itself, all the improvements and all the enhancements. And then we're talking about strategies. And we just had one of our students talk Tuesday night about their whole business and talking about a national company and their experience. And I mean, you'll get a wealth of knowledge and information, but you can collaborate with these people. I mean, hey, have you seen that? Haven't you, Drew, with this group?
Oh man, it's so important. Like to take your example, Matt, there's some new legislation that passed in Texas, and it's going to put all of these requirements on placement agents operating in Texas. So our Texas placement agents were kind of not freaking out, but they were like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is so different. I've got to have the family now sign a release form or, contract with the family and do all these things. But guess what? They've been doing this in Washington for a decade, 13 years now. So our TSL partner in Washington gave a whole kind of lesson in how to, and I think the takeaway was that actually this legislation is better for you as a placement agent. This helps this creates a moat actually around your business model. And empowers you in a lot of ways. And so just having her expertise, being able to share that with the group, totally turned it around for our Texas placement agents. And you can only get that with a group of people. You can't get that solo. And this is a business, I think, too, of edge cases. Every family you're helping has these like unique needs. And so when you can kind of share that with the group, sometimes tens, hundreds of people, someone in that group has dealt with that situation and can help advise you. And you constantly need that. I can't imagine trying to do this alone.
No, it's a lonely thing. I personally started alone when I started it because it was just like, okay, I left the position as assisted living, marketing director of assisted living community. And I was with my wife. So if that'd be the only difference, not being alone. But as far as everyone else, and then I saw everybody kind of connecting together around the community, and I just saw it as, hey, I'm going to do something completely different. But the cool thing about TSL is you get to do something completely different. You're one of one. You're the only senior placement in your area that actually can do this. It's proprietary software, but you also gain the relationships and the connections with other senior placement agents that are doing this in their area, just like Drew was talking about with our partner in Washington, sharing about regulations. And, Texas, like, man, oh my God, it just is happening. And then she's like, man, we've been doing this for years, and it kind of ease your mind out there if you're just watching, don't know what we're talking about. The regulations, I won't go into them, but they're so simple. I mean, all these, at least the ones that California are promoting, I've been doing on just about every uh, deal that I do. I mean, they're so simple. I mean, get licensed, be insured. When's the last time you've been to the community? What's the state reviews of the community? I mean, all these different things I do all the time, and all you got to do is just document it, right? So regulations are here; they're coming, and but it's just a great opportunity for you to be in tour senior living to be able to help expand your business. And here's what I want you to do: is I want you to bet on progress, not perfection. But TSL actually helps you out on doing that. But if you're just doing something to be doing something, whatever it is, and let me give you a hint, perfection will slow you up majorly. You won't post that picture because you were turned the wrong way or your hair didn't look good. And that's why maybe I shaved all my hair off, because, you know, I ain't got to worry about that, Drew. You may have to worry about that. You got a nice set of hair on you. So, but I mean,
it's a wig, man.
It's a wig. There you go.
Yeah.
But people are so worried about perfection. You know, did I articulate that really well? Was my shirt not wrinkled? And did I have a fuzzball on me or something? Just bet on progress, man. Get out there. I want to put this up there. Start messy and launch before you are ready. I mean, because you'll never be ready. Is what I mean. I don't mean don't get educated. I don't mean don't learn the process. I don't mean not knowing what you're doing. But man, there's so many people that are like, I remember guys I went to, I worked with. I was in my early 20s. I was a real estate appraiser. 2 guys in the office. One guy had a master's degree. The other guy had 2 master's degrees and working on some other form of education. And those guys were, one guy was 10 years older than me. The other guy was 20 years older than me. And they were both like lifelong students. And I get what they were doing. I mean, it was an educational process. But here, me in my early 20s had a Bible education, missionary college of like 18 months. And I traveled the world a little bit. So maybe I got a little more educated that way. But man, I was running circles around them as a real estate appraiser. And they were constantly chasing that degree. And I'm not bagging degrees. I'm not bagging education. I think life is an educational process. I think you should be learning every single day. You should be reading a book every single day. You should be challenging yourself in your mind every single day. You should be talking to somebody who disagrees with you about life, politics, religion, whatever you want, and not to argue with them, to listen. I mean, the more that you listen to somebody, and this is kind of off the subject, but yet on the subject, if you get into a controversial issue of somebody who disagrees with you and they want to argue, just listen to them. Ask them questions, not in a way that you're challenging them, like they don't know what in the world they're talking about. Man, I just had that with one of my residents who's moving into a community on Saturday. The lady actually told me, she was like, well, Matt, and she's known me for probably 3 years, something like that, because I helped her husband out and he's since passed away. And she was like, Matt, I don't know if you remember or not, but I'm a blue person. And I know what that means, right? In politics, you got blue and red. I don't want to listen to Fox News every day. And she went right down this thing. You know, whether I believe her or don't believe her, agree with her or disagree with her, I'm not into that, right? I have people that told me they're a person of faith or they're a different religion. I don't dive into that, but I listen and I hear what they're saying, because in this business, it's ADL's behaviors, but it's preferences. And there's that piece where you listen to the resident and family of what's important to them. So it's important that I get this lady into a community. In this case, it's going to be a residential care home based on her needs, that they don't have Fox News on every day. Right? And I'm not against Fox News. There's plenty of people on Fox News I like. But it's not me. It's not me in that community. It's her preference, what she wants. It's the end of her life decision that she was making, right? And so I just want to encourage you guys, kind of go on a rant there, but start messy and launch before you're ready, right, Drew? I mean, is that
what you're getting at there, Matt? I think is that you're when you're starting something, you're trying to create a service that people want. And the only way to figure out what people want is to get out there and interact with them, talk with them. That's how you're going to figure that out. That's how you're going to figure out some residents want no Fox News in the building.
Yeah, right,
they have preferences.
You're going to have to adapt. I don't listen to that garbage. It was a fun conversation. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything she said, but you have to take it in and
people
take
have
this a little bit of
preferences.
humor. It's a difference.
Yeah, and that your job as a senior placement agent is to take their preferences and recommend communities that fit those preferences. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
But
Enjoy.
it's that precious energy, man.
Yeah.
When you have the passion, when you feel like, okay, I'm gonna go out and build something, building your business is going to take grit. It's going to take persistence. You're going to draw from that energy. So when you have it and it's at full capacity, you need to act now because you're going to need that energy. And if you wait and the tank is like a quarter full and you launch then, that's going to be difficult.
Absolutely. Well, bro, let's end on that, man. Start messy, launch before you're ready. If you want to know more about what we do in senior placement, there's a couple links down below. We talked about not scheduling calls because people are threatened by that. But hey, if you want to talk to me, you can. We can jump on a Zoom. I can show you a lot of different things. But Drew and I just really love tour senior living. We're in about 24, 25 different territories. I didn't tell you this morning, Drew, because I didn't have time to. But we got another person in Florida getting ready to sign up. And so he's ready to go. He just texted me. He didn't know if it was going to be a couple more days, but he texted me this morning and said, hey, had a long night, ready to go. So
let's go.
Anyway, so going that, and he might end up getting another area in Florida too. They got a good team. They've been with me now in the senior home business for a little over a year. And it's kind of interesting. I love using them as an example because they started off what I remember pretty slow. Like I think usually people who come to senior home business, for the most part, there's always exceptions. For the most part, we'll get a move in within 2 or 3 months, right? And sometimes a lot quicker and a lot more business. But I believe, if I remember the story correctly, they took a little bit longer, and I coached them on the side a little bit just to help them get them going. Had a couple. I just really loved the family. Had the right motivation, just wonderful people, but just couldn't get anything going. And now a year later, they're doing 8, 10, 12 move-ins a month. I mean, they're just killing it. So they went from hardly anything to like a $500,000 business and growing. And now they'll be a part of TSL and expand and grow and blow all that out. So if you want to know all about that, you guys, we'd love to talk to you. Click all the links down below. But hey, until next time, God bless.
See you.